Endgame is finally here. It's been quite the journey. We just want to say thank you for joining us. The final day is going to be a tough one. We're going to get it started with pin squats. Here we go. Yeah. With the pin squats, they're going to be slightly similar to the box squats, where the height of the box is going to dictate your range of motion. With the pin squats, the height of the pins are going to dictate the range of motion that you really want to work in. In that range of motion, you're going to build strength in. So if you want to start it with a little bit lower, you're going to be building strength in a farther range of motion, or you can set the pins a little bit higher and work on a little bit of a shorter range of motion there. But you really want to focus on building that explosive strength, because the bottom position, the muscles are going to be a little bit relaxed, and then you're going to be starting in the squatting position rather than from the standing position. So it's going to differ a little bit from the conventional squat, but it's still damn good.
We had a great chance to work out with the Canadian Olympic gold medalist Erica Wiebe a few years back, and pin squats was one of the staples of her workout routine because it really helped to build explosive strength. Of course, wrestlers, they're all about explosion, and this is a great exercise to practice that. It can also be great if you're having trouble getting out of the hole, which you may have a problem with, I know I have in the past, is that you get down into that bottom position and then all of a sudden you go, uh-oh, I can't get back up. Well, with this one, by starting at the bottom position and then having to engage all your muscles, it can really help build up that strength so that you find it easier when performing the traditional squat.
Finish up with legs. Now we're on to a back superset. The first exercise is going to be the prone rows, and you're lying prone, and thankfully we have a pretty cool bench here that is built for prone rows. But you know, the good thing is you can do a DIY setup where you just elevate a normal bench on some plates or some boxes, and you can do the same thing. But the good thing about this exercise is it really takes out any kind of other muscular activation, primarily the lower body. A lot of times you'll get in the bent over position and your hips can start doing some work by slightly extending, or even your knees. With this one, you're not only supported really well on the bench, but you're pretty much only utilizing your lats, a little bit in the biceps and the rear delts for this movement. So it can be very strict, and you'll notice that you do a lot less weight on this one than the bent over row, because of course the bent over row, you'll be able to cheat it a little bit. With this one, it is very strict, but the good thing is you feel it all in those lats, which is pretty awesome. And of course, we're supersetting with some pull-up negatives, which with this one, you want to jump into place, and then you're going to slowly lower yourself as slow as you can down to the bottom there. And what that's really working on is the eccentric movement, where the muscles are trying to hold you into position, but of course, as you get a little bit more fatigued, you'll lose a lot of that strength to hold yourself, and you're just slowly lowering yourself to the bottom, jumping up into the top position. So you're not using any kind of concentric movement of pulling yourself up, you're really only lowering yourself down. And the good thing about an eccentric movement is that can really build a lot of strength, particularly a movement that you might not usually implement into your training. The eccentric movement can be just as important as the concentric contraction, so you really want to pay attention to those movements too. And that's what's really good about the pull-up negatives, and of course pairing these two up together, damn, your lats be popping. Yeah. Get out of the way! The back is burnt, so thankfully we're moving on to some chest. It's going to be another superset. We're comparing two exercises. The first one is going to be the floor press, and we're immediately following the floor press with the PLYO push-ups. The floor press, kind of like the pin squat, is working in a little bit of a shorter range of motion. You're really only bringing the bar down until the back of your arms touch the floor, and then you're explosively pushing the weight up to that top position there. So it's really only working kind of the top half of a bench press. So you're not really getting a full stretch of the chest, but regardless, it feels really good, and you really want to work on that squeeze and engagement of the chest. And once that's done, we're moving on to PLYO push-ups. Now this one is going down to that full stretch position where you bring yourself all the way down, but you're explosively pushing yourself up and catching yourself on, as you can see here, we just have some plates, but you can do it on some boxes, whatever works best for you, even some chairs. But man, after the floor press, you're doing these PLYO push-ups, and you start feeling that fatigue pretty hard. So you have to be careful on this one, because you don't want to, of course, fall on your face because you can't catch yourself. So make sure you pick a weight that's right for you on the floor press, because as soon as you move on to the PLYO push-ups, that chest is already going to be pretty fatigued. We got some hang clean dumbbell presses. Primarily working the shoulders, but carrying over some of the stuff that you've learned from the power cleans, the high pulls, and the hang cleans on the barbell. Now, the hang clean press with the dumbbells is gonna be pretty similar to really those same movements that you do with the barbell. But the thing is, without the barbell, you don't really have something to kind of push off of. The bar kind of being there, kind of tapping your thighs and helping to get that nice like carry over into that clean position. So the dumbbells will differ a little bit, but primarily you're working that same kind of movement where you're flexing in your hips, dipping down just a little bit, and then you're going to that full extension in your hips and also your ankles, and then shrugging the weight up, bringing the dumbbells to the clean position, but then you're gonna go into a press, bring it down, and then return to the starting position. So with these ones, of course, you're working a little bit in the hips, the power in the hips. We're also working a lot in the trapezius with the shrugs, but then we're adding the press to it, so you get a lot of shoulder activation too. So this is a pretty, energy consuming exercise, but it feels damn good. Wow. I have to work a lot on hip extension, a lot in the glutes. You'll feel a little bit in the hamstrings too to control that movement. Of course, adding the band adds a lot of extra elasticity to this exercise, but a little extra resistance as well, because now you're not only creating the power to push the weight up to the top there and control it down, but now you have a band that's wanting to pull it back as you create that power to get that kettlebell up. So you really have to create even more power and force to get that kettlebell into position. So these ones are definitely a bit more advanced than the standard kettlebell swing, but of course, being in stage 5, being advanced is what we're all about.
We're moving on to a smaller muscle group now. We're gonna be focusing on triceps with the bilateral French press. So the difference being, of course, we're just gonna be using one dumbbell as opposed to two, which is a little nice because you can use a lot of weight and it's a little bit more easy to keep the stability as well. Because sometimes when you have two, you can get a little all over the place, especially when you've been performing some big exercises such as we have. So we're going up a little bit in weight. We're gonna do 70 pounds. We're gonna fill this one out a little bit. We may even move up on our second and third sets, but it's gonna be 3 sets, 10 reps. We're getting it done. It's the end game, yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what you're working in these ones for sure. Really isolating those biceps. You can think about the spider curls as well, is you kind of have to control the movement, because if you get in too much of a faster repetition, faster tempo, you're gonna wanna start swinging. So the good thing is you can't use your hips. You can start using the shoulder joint if you're not paying attention. So what you wanna do, take it nice and slow and really control the eccentric and concentric movement. And in doing so, you'll really feel those biceps contract and also at the end, fatigue. Last exercise, it is gonna be side crunches, really targeting the obliques on this one. As you can tell, we're holding the weight with one arm and we're using the opposite side of the body, or in this case, the opposite oblique, to pull that weight into position and crunch to the side there. Ooh. And you can really start feeling them after these 15 reps. Oh yeah.
We are done with the superhero plan.
Yeah.
And much like the end to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we all did it together in one climactic finale.
Congratulations.
And thanks for joining us, because this was really damn intense and we're ready for a little bit of a vacation.
For sure, yeah. So, and we're gonna take one, and if you guys wanna take a little bit of a rest, definitely feel free, because this was a very intense program. But you know what? That doesn't mean you can stop. You want to go right into the next one after a short rest, so that way you continually build that superhero physique.
Hell yeah. You're a superhero now, and next time you'll be a superhero.
Superhero.
It just keeps getting more supery. So thanks again for joining us, and until next time.
Yeah. Stay